President Pitzer, Mr. Vice President, Governor, Congressman Thomas, Senator Wiley and Congressman Miller, Mr. Webb, Mr. Bell, scientists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
CBS Television presents a special report on Sputnik 1, the Soviet space satellite. Douglas Edwards reporting.
Until 2 days ago, that sound had never been heard on this earth. Suddenly, it has become as much a part of 20th century life as the whir of your vacuum cleaner. It's a report from man's farthest frontier, the radio signal transmitted by the Soviet Sputnik, the first man-made satellite as it passed over New York earlier today.
Historic day, one of the most unforgettable of our century, the point of departure for man seeking to reach space. And this man, Yuri Gagarin, major in the Soviet Air Force, is the first to cross the frontier into the unknown of space. 27.
And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Two months after the final flight of Gemini, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee are preparing to be the first Apollo astronauts. On January 27th of 1967, the crew is in the capsule, conducting a countdown rehearsal.
In the next few days, the Board of Inquiry will search through all data tapes, voice tapes, and television tapes, plus the photographs made before and after the disaster. From these, they hope to discover what exactly went wrong and swept the fire last night through Apollo 1.
America's space program suffers a piercing loss.
The purpose of the flight of Apollo 7 could be stated very simply. Prove that the spacecraft command and service modules would function properly in space, long enough to carry men to the moon and back.
5, 4, ignition, GRR.
Apollo 7 was also go for an exhaustive series of tests of its worthiness in space. One of the first things which had to be learned was whether the astronauts could control the spacecraft combined with the S-4B Saturn stage. A very similar thing would have to be done during the early phases of a lunar mission. The answer was not long in coming. The question now was whether the astronauts could turn their spacecraft around and control it to the degree required for future physical link-ups with equipment in space. For this, too, would have to be done in the lunar flight.
Thrusting.
And again, the answer was yes.
Starting mission. Flame burned. Engines armed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All engines running. Launch commit. Hold it. Roger, clock. That's okay, flight. All engines. Launch. Roger. Understand that. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
And the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day.
And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. God saw that it was good. And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
I mean, relatively within the mission, which of the maneuvers are more critical?
Well, obviously, the untethered EVA with a limb probably is, because the limb goes to 90 miles. It has no heat shield and no tether. So it's essential that the limb returns to the heat shield.
One thing that we should keep in mind is that only one of these vehicles has a capability to land. Safely, I guess I should add. They both have the capability of landing.
In orbit, the Apollo 9 astronauts are beginning 10 days of the most complex mission ever attempted in space. This film is the visual result of the mission's complexity, views of the flight and the men.
From the third stage, it's turned around and is now stationed.
From Gumdrop, now separated from the rocket, the astronauts inspect Spider, then dock with it to spring it free from the rocket section, now visible below the skirt of the Spider. Inside Gumdrop, the astronauts prepare for first Schweikert, then McDivitt to enter the LEM. In their weightless world, up is where your head happens to be, and moving... Outside Spider, Schweikert is standing on his porch. Dave Scott has opened Gumdrop's hatch, just a few feet from Schweikert's position on Spider.
Oh, there. Oh, dear, that looks comfortable. Oh, boy,
Savvy reports the clock has started. The tower is clear.
Tom Stafford acknowledges the role and pitch program to put Apollo 2.
Plus 0, 0, 0, 9 or 8. Plus, correction, 0, 0, 5, 7, 2. Houston, we see you on the steerable, over. Roger, Eagle, I'm docked. Roger, how does it look? The Eagle has wings. Hello. Go. 2,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Into the ag, 47 degrees. Roger. Straight shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. Forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Now into the flight to Apollo 11. Yeah, our current plan is to have crew members aboard the Eagle to eat and relax for a little while prior to starting EVA preps. We won't know
with certainty or have a reasonable time hack until about an hour before the
世界は人類がその歴史上初めて月面に一歩を踏む瞬間を待っているのであります。街の通りにはかなり多くの人が見られますが、大多数の人はもちろんテレビを見られるホテルのロビーとか休憩室に集まっています。
I'm going to step off the limb. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.